Hello, Internet. How's it going? You know who I am. You know what channel this is. And yes, you know that I am the main man of this thing. So yeah, let me go ahead and drop some information about the finale of RWBY Volume 3, Episode 12, End of the Beginning. And honestly, at the end of Volume 3, it feels as though this is when the story is really starting to actually begin. Because just sort of cutting through all of the BS so far is the fact that, of course, Blake is with Yang and they're at the heliport and they're being ready to be evac'd, right? And of course, RWBY wants to go back and get Pyrrha because, of course, Pyrrha put Jean in a pod and then shipped him off somewhere. To which that Jean called RWBY to tell her to go and save Pyrrha. Then that's when Weiss and RWBY ran off to go and save her. In the meantime, Pyrrha was trying to fight Cinder and a giant, and I believe that giant dragon Grimm as well. And things really didn't look up too well for Pyrrha, even though she did put up a really good fight. And her semblance actually does sort of make her a very powerful enemy. A very powerful opponent. However, I do kind of wonder the reason why Cinder could actually fight her off so well. Like, is that because of the fact that she does have the Fall Maiden's power, or is that just how like her actual like abilities are to where that they give her superior defense or something like that? I don't really know, but it seemed more to fall back on the Fall Maiden's power than it did her own. So pretty much, of course, as we already know, or at least how you would expect this to happen, like in the finale, Pyrrha has to die. However, there is a very interesting way how she does die at the end of this episode, because she doesn't die like how I believe the previous Fall Maiden was Amber. I believe that was her name, but she doesn't die like how she does. She actually breaks into like these weird particles and then just floats off somewhere. So that could possibly lead into something in the future. Also, once when RWBY got up the building and she saw this, she seemed to activate some kind of weird white power after she passed out. Of course, she was awoken by her uncle to tell her that she froze the gigantic Grimm and it's stuck up there up on top of the tower. Now, honestly, now they don't mention Cinder as well, but best case scenario, you can assume that maybe she's in there, or possibly she did get frozen and she used the Fall Maiden's power, which is fire, to break out of it. So, and yes, Crow does sort of give her a vague story of saying that there are legends of people with silver eyes who pretty much can like take down Grimm because they're the best of the best, and she's like her mother. Now, mind you, all this is sort of pointing towards the Winter Maiden power, because of course Fall and Winter kind of go back. So, you know, Fall powers are already activated. So why not RWBY have the Winter Maiden's power? You know, just like her mother, who that when she died, of course, as we already know, when they think of another female, in this case a mother thinking of a child, it passes on to her. And then that's when she gains the power, or at least like the same abilities as her mother. So that could be a possibility that RWBY is the Winter Maiden. Also, at the end of this, we do finally get to see who the actual villain is. Now, we don't get a name, but we do get a glimpse as to who our superpowered villain is. And honestly, since Oswin is missing at this point in time, you do kind of get a glimpse of who she is. And she seemed to be talking to Oswin as to saying that whatever that the main characters are doing, no matter how hard that they try, that they're pretty much destined to fail and lose. And she's gonna see to that, and she's gonna break everything down that he's ever held dear. So that is something to sort of take into account. You know, now honestly, there is a small little teaser at the end with Crow with Oswin's cane and then jumping off and turning into a crow and then flying off. Really, this does actually sort of seem to be the opening point to whatever is going on in this series. So yeah, that is something to sort of keep your eye on. But until then, though, that is what I got to say about that. This was a very, very, very spectacular volume, and it really did touch on a lot of things, and it did actually sort of make our villains actually come off. In this case, Cinder, Emerald, and Mercury. It did sort of make them come off a little bit more villainous and organized compared to whatever this main lady can ever do, or at least you see why they are in her employ. So that is something to sort of take into account. I'll catch you guys on the next Jongravesshow. Please keep watching anime, keep playing video games. I'm out.